Oh my gosh, I feel kind of nervous. Is this what it's like to be on the other side? And reflecting back, it makes me smile because I had the audacity to start a podcast when I was in my first trimester with Brody in my stomach. Who does that? I'm such a curious person and I love hearing people's stories, and I do that in real life, and I don't often allow people the opportunity to turn it back around. I cannot believe that I get to interview people like you, interview people like some of the guests we've had on recently. Mindy Crawford used to work for Jillian Harris, who's now doing human design, who's a mom, who's a human. So insane to me. Follow a small breadcrumb and see what happens. Sarah Chapman-Funston.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me on the All Figured Out podcast. Truly being dragged in, a little peek behind the curtain. We had time in our beautiful set. If you're watching this on YouTube, welcome. Welcome to the video land. This girl starts an audio podcast and then all of a sudden she's like, okay, we're making full production. Anyways, you have been so gracious and been helping me the last couple of days to produce this whole fiasco, and it's been such a blast.
It's been so fun.
And we were talking about turning the mic around because I like to interview people and grill people and get to know them. And you were kind of sharing, hey, do people know about you?
Yeah. Well, I like to preach that to all my clients is like, everyone wants to know about what makes you tick, and you're really good at getting things out of people. So let's see what we can get out of you.
Oh my God.
Okay, we're going to start. And we're kind of new friends. I feel like we became fast friends.
Yeah.
And we say that we're very alike and we align in lots of different ways. And we both moms and doing our own thing. So as someone who's a new kind of friend to you, I want to know a little bit more about what's been going on with you, especially in the last 2 years since you started this podcast. Because I don't think you've caught everyone up on the changes. You had one baby, now you have two. What's different and what's the same?
Oh my gosh, I feel kind of nervous. Is this what it's like to be on the other side?
Probably, yeah.
Ooh, it's clammy. Yes. Okay. That's a great question. So I started the podcast, and in one of my first, I think it was episode 3 or 2 or something, I think I had shared my story up to that point. And so it's a great question because since then, a lot's happened.
Yeah. 2 years is a lifetime, especially when you have little kids.
I mean, I've grew an entire human, 10 fingers, 10 toes. They're all there. They're still there. And he's 2 now. And so reflecting back, it makes me smile because I had the audacity, or I don't even know what word I'd use, but I decided to start a podcast when I was in my first trimester with Brody in my stomach.
Your first trimester?
Yes.
I didn't realize
Who does that?
Yeah.
As a mom, who does that?
Yeah, especially with a toddler running around.
So weird. What was I thinking? But
feeling exhausted.
Yeah. But I think back on that and I'm like, I'm so proud of that.
Yeah.
I think that's a funny fact. I truly wasn't doing it in the moment to be like, oh, this is going to make a good story one day. I just had this. I needed to get this out there. And there was so many. No, not okay. You know what? I was going to say there's so many people, so many naysayers. There weren't actually any naysayers. There was just my perceived judgments of what others might think.
Yeah.
Which is such a theme in my life. And I was like, who am I to have a podcast? Who am I to put this out there? I'm only a mom of one. Like I had a 2-year-old. It's not like I'm like some veteran mom or anything like that. But then I was working with a copywriter and she came up with the name, All Figured Out. And it came in my inbox. She was like, what about this? And I was like, fuck yeah, that's it. Because and then it was like, I was having conversations, you start floating the name, which you should never do when you're pregnant. Because I started floating the name. Some people were like, but do you need to put like a question mark? Because like, are you saying that you have it all figured out? I'm like, no, if you know me, you know I'm not saying I have it all figured out. I have nothing figured out. I've spilled coffee, always spilling, always spilling. And just, yeah, it was... Anyways, so it was just this thing that I had to birth. And it's so fun to think back and look back and listen back to those early days of the podcast where I was, oh my gosh, literally everyone always says, I actually was in my closet the first couple of recordings because I thought that I needed the sound to be muffled by the clothes. But I actually had a really great mic, so it turned out I didn't need to do that. And I was just learning as I went. So in the last 2 years, to answer your question, it's been such a fun journey of, like, a guest that I had on recently, Christine, was talking about just following the breadcrumbs. Like, people, the number one question that I got asked in those early days, and sometimes still get asked in this podcast, is, oh, so what, how are you making money with it? Are you making money with it yet? I'm not kidding. Every time.
And that, I think people forget that a podcast from a marketing perspective is a long game.
Oh, longest.
And if you're starting it just to make money, then you're not going to build authentic stories the way that you've done it, because then you don't care about what the purpose is or what the audience is taking away from it.
No. And there's been breaks, right? Like, even actually right now, I'm in a bit of a break accidentally because, you know, I don't necessarily have the perfect systems in place. I don't have the perfect team in place. It's coming. I mean, I have this perfect team here, of course, is doing the video. But it's just, I'm so much more into putting out conversations and doing it with quality. My word of the year I've talked about on the show is quality. And that was part of this, is doing the video side of it and really upping my game and getting out of my, it's not out of my comfort zone. Let's be real. I love a mic. I love a camera, but
it's just different though than sitting at your desk at home.
Yeah. Upping it. Like, I'm not wearing PJ bottoms on the, on the bottom. I like shape my legs and like, these are like big things. So it's been such a fun journey and exploration. And so I guess in the last 2 years, it's been discovering who I am as a mom of 2 and what it looks like to be an entrepreneur with 2 kids, and flexing in and out, and how much rigidity do we need, how much routine, how much rhythm. Like, I preach about rhythms over routines, and what are our rhythms? Like, on a day like today, this week, it's a big week. We've got 2 back-to-back 8-hour days of shooting, and it's a lot. So I got some meal delivery. Like, we're not talking fresh prep where you have to like cook it. It's like, I've learned that get ahead of it and like treat yourself, make things easier. And so it's been so much fun of just like continuing to wink, wink, figure it out as I go. And it's been such a blast. And I'm so happy that I tried it. And if I didn't like this and I didn't like this platform, this medium, then whatever, I was listening actually to the Skinny Confidential this morning. Piers Morgan was on it. Controversial individual for sure. It was an incredible conversation. He had some really incredible wisdom, and he was talking about just that old saying of like all the failures. He's like, I've had so many failures in my life, but you don't try it. You don't try things out. Then what are you going to, be on your deathbed and be like, oh, are you going to wish I did less? No, you're going to wish you tried more things. And who cares if you try the thing and you don't like it and you shelve it? But I'm so happy and grateful that this is something that I have found and stumbled into. And it just, it's been such a pleasure.
Well, a lot of the conversations you're having are so interesting. And I like, one thing I seek when I'm listening to podcasts is I hear a lot of great conversations with people, in North America or across the world. But it's so fun to listen to conversations about people who are experts in their field who live here with us, because it feels, I don't know, more like you can connect to them more because you know that they have a similar lifestyle to you. Like, they're in a, they have all the same values as we do here. And there's something to be said about seeking those people out and finding people we didn't know are doing really cool things here.
That's so true.
And not that you can't, get on Zoom and do calls with anyone, but the ones I think that I've liked the most that you've done are the ones that are Canadian and who really share that place in the world with us, because sometimes there's a lot of disconnect, like, oh, this doesn't apply to me, or this person doesn't share my values as much, so I don't know if I'm going to take as much out of it.
It's so true. That's a great point. Even the celebrity, like, I love having a celebrity podcast on the roster to just, just numb out and have fun and just enjoy. But it's true when it's those ones where I really want to be inspired. I want to learn something. Sometimes if there's too big of a gap from where you are and where that person is, you automatically discount yourself, discredit that it's even applicable to you. So that's an incredible point. And I should mention, for those listening, I interviewed Sarah on the podcast, which will probably come out before this. Or maybe not, I don't know. But anyways, regardless, we will somehow make a link happen in the show notes so you can listen to Sarah's story. She's one of those people who's had a big career pivot. She's got 2 kids. She's a little bit ahead of me in the motherhood journey. And it's so cool to just hear women and parents talk about their experience and making it all work. Or not.
Yeah. I mean, some of it's day-to-day struggles. One thing works one day and the next day, not so much.
So tell
me a little bit more about like, how are you sticking with this? Because I know that's one thing, like podcasting is a huge lift. It's something that takes a lot of time and money and effort. How, with all the other stuff you have going on with your clients and with your speaking opportunities, how did you stick with this so well? Because I think we all have seen those podcasts where they launch and it's a big splash and then like wah wah.
We're not naming the name
Like
that we're both thinking.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of podcasts have done that, and like, you know, they do the big shoot and all the like. From a marketing person, I'm always watching, like, that's a lot of promotional money and marketing you put into this, and then 6 months later, like 2 episodes have come out. But you are so consistent. So how do you do that?
Well, thank you. I should first say thank you, because it doesn't always feel that way, and it's not always actually consistent. And in my head, immediately I wanted to say to you, oh, but sometimes I take a break and no. Like, honestly,
but you don't need to. You don't need to explain yourself.
Yeah, no, you don't need to explain yourself. And okay, 2 things are coming to mind. Number 1, selfishly, I freaking love it. I cannot believe that I get to interview people like you, interview people like some of the guests we've had on recently. Mindy Crawford, who used to work for Jillian Harris, who's now doing human design, who's a mom, who's a human. Yourself.
Yeah, that one was so good.
It's just so insane to me, and like a pinch me feeling that I get to have conversations and just completely grill and drill down, like in the best way possible, into these people who have such interesting stories. Like, I'm such a curious person, and I love hearing people's stories. And I do that in real life, and I don't often allow people the opportunity to turn it back around. So the fact that I actually get to just do this is like what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I'm like, incredible. Like, I enjoy it so much. And then the second thing that's coming up is there's a dad who's a friend of mine, and twice now he has come up to me and like given me a huge hug and has thanked me because listening to some of the early days of the podcast inspired him to leave his really comfortable corporate job.
Wow.
And become an entrepreneur and work in a small business with a business partner. And within 6 months or something, he was surpassing his income of his other goal, like of his goals. He's building a business.
He's probably happier.
I'm trying to get him on the podcast, but he's like, why me? Why now? It's incredible the number of people that say that when you're like, I see so much in you. You know who you are if you're listening.
Yeah.
And
I think
know
I
you're
said that
listening.
when we did ours.
Yes.
Like, who wants to listen to me?
Totally. And it's just, man, hearing stories like that like one episode, one rambling where I'm like, what the hell did I even just say? Or what was this episode even about? You know, sometimes they're kind of random episodes where I have guests who I just think are going to be incredible on a mic. They have a really interesting expertise or story to tell. I don't really know what the end game with it is, but I just follow that breadcrumb. And it's so cool. The people who come back, they're like, that was such a great episode. No. And in my head, I'm like, oh, that was a pretty random one. That was rogue, but like
it went off
I
script.
loved it. But yeah, it was pretty rogue. I don't even know if we talked about parenting. I don't even know if we talked about having kids. Like, you know, sometimes I'm like, oh, I didn't even ask the person about like their kids or whatever.
You have to go where the conversation takes you. Otherwise, it's too contrived seeming. Like, okay, we're going to stop this great conversation and I'm going to steer it back over here.
Yes, totally. And so I think it's just those 2 things. It's like doing this because I would continue to do it for free. It does take a lot. But I love it so much that this could be something that I could see myself doing as a hobby. But I won't, because I'm a businesswoman.
Yeah.
And then just hearing like the impact, even that one person, even if it was just him. And there's been other people who have shared stories, and I can't believe that. It's such a privilege to be in people's ears and support them that way.
Well, it's not surprising because you're very wise and you give great advice and you come from a place of expertise. So I think, and that's why, like, even just the fact that people say yes when you ask them to come on, you should take great stock in that, because if they didn't see the value in what you're offering and what the opportunity is offering them, then they would say no. They'd be like, no, thanks. Everyone, like, time is a commodity. Like, time is money, and we all are busy.
Yes.
So I think that says a lot.
Thanks.
So the day-to-day, when you are, you know, juggling between like the kids and podcasting and your marriage, what's the like percentage, like, for someone who maybe is thinking like, oh, do I want to start doing something like this, or I want to start something on the side, but I feel like I don't have the time? How do you allocate that time to make sure that it's not getting lost, but that you still have time for everything else that's important?
That's such a hard question. It changes all the time. And I think this thread of trying something and being okay and willing and being flexible in your mind to pivot and recalibrate and try something new or try something in a different way is just the money. That is where it's at.
Yeah.
Follow a small breadcrumb and see what happens. Like, do a small test. Like you said, if someone wants to side hustle, don't go into it and be like, okay, I need to replace my income next month. Be like, do I even enjoy this?
Yeah.
Like Christine Coughlin, who was on the show, I interviewed her yesterday, which will come out. And she talked about how she was like, oh, maybe I'll do some furniture restoration. She was like, I'm out there sanding. I'm all geared up. She's like, I hated it. And she's like, cool. I wrote a blog post about it. And like, I wasn't going to ever do furniture restoration again. And I was like, yes, like that is the best. Sure. Are some things harder to test out? Yes. Yeah. Are there people that you can ask about their day-to-day? Like, do you want to be a lawyer in your 40? Like a client that I once had, I always talk about. Mm-hmm. Great. Go test that out in a really easy way. Go talk to some people who are, you can find a lawyer to talk to. What's your day-to-day like? Oh, there's a lot of reading. Ooh, I don't really like reading.
Yeah, I don't love that.
Okay, maybe not for you, right?
I'm sitting at a desk 24/7.
Yeah.
That's so funny you say that because I grew up with a mom who was so passionate about the power of an informational interview, which is what you're talking about. And like it doesn't, what's the worst someone can say is like, oh, I don't have time for that. But usually people are happy to help.
100%.
And I think I've said that to you before, like all you have to do is ask. Yeah. And usually people are like, yeah, of course, I would love to do that. Or do you know someone who does this? Like that's kind of, I feel like what you're kind of doing with the podcast, but people don't have to put themselves out there to do it. So maybe to give them an idea of like, this is what it would be like to go and ask those curious questions. So maybe that will give them the courage to go and do it in real life with a specialist that you haven't interviewed yet or someone that they know personally.
Yep.
Because you're kind of giving them that without having to like, if they're nervous to ask for help or whatever.
Yeah. Thanks for saying that. And I think that going back to the day-to-day and how it's all working and how we make it work. Like I've said so many times, it is all about continuing to recalibrate and look at where you're at, what you need, and testing it out. For us, it has been a real finesse of looking at, okay, this is what I think I want it to look like, and testing out that as a rhythm. Mm-hmm. So, okay, I think this is what it's going to be. It's going to look like this. And when I say rhythm, schedule, routine, I know it's semantics, but I say rhythm because, and I always talk about this, about how it needs to be flexible. Like a conductor, you are the conductor and you can ebb and flow. Like if you remember grade school music class, you're learning about like the crescendo, the decrescendo, like making something louder, bigger, softening, that's how humans work. And so treating your life as that. And I've really had to tap into that because I like I talk fast. I like doing things fast. That's why I spill my coffee everywhere. And it's like, just having to really think about like, okay, if this, then that. So like, okay, I always say like, what is the plan when your kids get sick? If you're constantly feeling like that is the bane of your existence, then that is something you need to look at and you need to put a plan in place. It's so hard, I know, because not everyone has family in town. Not everybody has the means to hire support and have that person on standby. But really, like, is it having discussions with your manager to be like, listen, my partner and I are going to trade off. So every other time my kid gets sick, I'm going to be there. Just opening those dialogues, right? And so for us, the way it's kind of looked in the last 2 years is really thinking about, okay, for us, I should say for me, because my working style is a little all over the place. Like I'm definitely more on the creative side. I can be buttoned down, but it takes a lot of my energy. And so what I've had to start doing is creating systems in place, I guess, for myself that are like the defaults. Yeah. And then having rhythms within that. So my default Monday is no meetings with clients. But I do at least two podcast recordings in the afternoon, which are slotted. So if someone's going to book in for a podcast recording, it would be on a Monday. Yep. Sometimes it's none. Sometimes it's 2. Sometimes it's 1. On Wednesdays is when I do my VIP days with my clients. I go to the same breakfast spot. If we're doing it in person, we go to the same breakfast spot and we go to my co-working space. I book the same room. This is so new for me. I love novelty. I love a sense of newness. I love changing things up. However, I realize in this phase of life, things need to be a bit more streamlined. Yeah. And so again, the rhythm is if I'm going to have a VIP day with a one-on-one client, it's going to be on a Wednesday. It's going to be in this way, but it's not always going to be happen that way. So it's like 80% of the time it works that way and it's the default.
Mm-hmm.
The 20% of the time, maybe it's on a Friday because like they really, they don't have childcare, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's been awesome. And I think that there's just real beauty in that duality of saying, okay, this is the structure, this is the default, this is the way we're thinking it's going to work. It would be like having, days of the week for meals or sex or whatever. It's like you've got like the defaults, and then like it happens sometimes, it doesn't happen sometimes. And I think that's been a huge learning, especially since having 2 kids, which let me say, I thought that it was like, 1 to 2, whatever. It's a little bit harder. It's a little bit harder.
Yeah. Yeah, it
is. It's like double.
Well, just more schedules. And that's something that, like, what you said really resonated with me, because I'm thinking forward to, like, right now my kids are 6 and 3, and one's in school and one's not, and one's in more activities than the other. And I'm thinking, like, okay, when they're both in activities, how's that going to work? Like, we're still trying to milk the one car. Like, yes, we have some help with my mom, but I think putting the plans in place, makes it that you can stay accountable for things. Like the fact that you're telling me that you are recording 1 to 2 podcasts most weeks, that's insane. I feel like that's so awesome that you're able to allocate that time, because it'd be so easy to think, oh, the client has to come first or this has to come first, and for it to get pushed. But, and even the kids being sick thing, like that, I think for a lot of us who are like planners, can make you stressed to think like, what if this happens?
Yes.
But to even go to your boss and say like, this is what we do. So it's not like on the actual morning of like a blow up of emailing and, oh, I have to move this meeting or whatever. Yeah. That's so smart to do it that way. And not just to make the plan internally with the family, but to say it out loud to those around you.
Yes. Well, and it's just because there's so many layers of the anxiety or the fear or whatever you want to call it, where it's like, oh my gosh, what if the kid gets sick? Then what's my workday going to look like? Oh my goodness, now I have to communicate that to my team. What are they going to think? And then it's just this cascade. But if you try to get ahead of things as much as possible and just have those discussions, and if that's not working, it's not working for them, it's not working for you. Okay, you've got to massage that, because it's not worth it for you in your life to live in that fear and that anxiety once or twice a month when your kids are sick.
Yeah.
Like that's no way to live.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think that that's such good advice. And so we kind of touched a little bit on like kind of what's working and not working, but tell me a little bit about what's next for the podcast.
Video. YouTube. The number of people that I've reached out being like, oh my gosh, you're going to do this for every episode. I'm like, one
it's a big
day.
lift.
It's a big, literal big lift.
Yeah.
I would love that. But quality, upping it, really going for the guests that in my smaller mind would have said like, oh, they wouldn't say yes, or why would they want to come on this little show? Or continuing to just record in my bedroom studio, which totally works. And it's the way that I was able to just get it off the ground. I have an audio engineer who's working with me now. So there's less bottleneck in that regard, and just bigger and more, and just really thinking about what does this audience want to listen to? What do they want to hear? How might they be entertained and educated? And what do they want to learn about when they're, trying to escape? There's that balance of like, I'm cooking dinner or I'm driving, and I don't really want to think about parenting all the time, because I'm always thinking about parenting. So how can we, but then there's some great conversations to be had. And this is and I know that there's so many people who are like, oh my gosh, I needed to hear this. And so how do I find that balance? That's kind of what I'm thinking about and really trying to hone in on, and doing more stuff like this, where like the audience can get to know me and I can share a bit more openly about what how I'm trying to make it work, and the failures that I'm experiencing and the wins that I can celebrate, and just share more.
Yeah. So what are you still trying to figure out?
What am I still trying to figure out? I'm still trying to figure out how to not have my heart break when my 2-year-old says, "Mama, stay." He just learned the word stay. Oh my, who taught him that? What? I'm like mad at wherever he heard that word.
My daughter said that to me when I left this morning. I was like,
Mama, stay is, and it's not, I don't want him to not say that, because that makes me feel so good. But then how do I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. How
Yeah.
do I reconcile that? What do I want that to look like? What is it saying about what value of mine that's being kind of attacked when he says that? Family, our connection. And to a 2-year-old. So listen, we're doing a podcast recording in Port Moody and we're, filming it in real life. So then he's like, banana. Like that's his next word, right? So that's what I'm trying to figure out today.
That's fair.
And it's
Aren't
real.
we all?
It's real. Stay. That damn word.
Well, when they're older, they're going to say go. So
Oh,
we should just milk it as long as we can.
Sarah. So sad. No, they never will. He'll stay in my bosom forever. Well, thank you. Thank you for hosting me on my own show.
Thank you for encouraging me to do something new. And I was like, okay, I'm usually behind the camera doing all the things, but
I'm running around. I
have to
appreciate it.
also, like you have said, practice what you preach.
Yeah, test out this breadcrumb.
Yeah.
Maybe this will be your a new thing.
Well, we'll see.
Run around town on podcasts. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate you.
Thank you.